How did you rate them, Howard, the questions?
I thought they were very diverse, and I thought that was good. More so than the first debate. A lot of topics were covered, and I thought the format was good. I think Candy did a very professional job of trying to keep it under control with two very strong people who didn't always want to let her keep it under control.
What did you make of it, Iman?
I would agree. I think that a lot of the questions were pretty diverse. I think that it can be hard when you're either the governor running for presidency or you're the incumbent to have someone stand in front of you and say, I used to like you and I don't. Or I kind of like Obama, so why are you good enough? I think it's kind of hard to answer those questions directly to someone's face. It can kind of shake you up a bit. So I like the questions.
Dan, were you chomping at the bit a little? Would you love to have, I know you'd have loved to moderate one of these, right?
Well, of course, anybody who does what I do would be lying if he or she said they didn't want to moderate the debate. But we have to keep in mind these debates are controlled by the parties and the candidates. They set the rules. They agree on the rules. They have veto power over who's going to moderate, quote, or not. Yeah. But I will say that I thought that Candy Crowley did a very good job tonight, as did her predecessor with the vice presidential debate. And I say this with only half a smile. Maybe we should think in terms of having only women moderate these debates, because on the record thus far, the women have done very well. As for the questions from the audience, I agree. I think the diversity in the questions was refreshing. I thought the questions overall were pretty good. Clearly, partisans on one side or the other are going to say, well, I don't think that person really was an independent voter or not. But there were tough questions for both of the candidates. Frankly, I like this format, not for all the three presidential debates, but to have one presidential debate in this format, I thought it was pretty good.
By the way, in the way of making an announcement, 1 week from tonight, next Tuesday night, I will be in Chicago, and I will moderate a debate among the four independent candidates, the Constitution Party, the Libertarian Party. You know, the Constitution, there's no way the Constitution mentions parties. We're a two-party system, but it's not in the Constitution. So we think these four people deserve a voice, and they'll get it next Tuesday night on YouTube. That's next Tuesday night. I'll be in Chicago to moderate the debate among the four people that you don't hear enough about, and get to think what they think about this election. David?
Very interestingly, before the debate tonight, the Green Party candidate and her vice presidential candidate were arrested tonight outside Hofstra University. They were trying to gain access to the debate, but they were arrested. They wanted the chance to participate tonight. When they talked
That's America.
When they talked about women's issues, Larry, we saw a really big spike. In fact, my team just told me more than 7 million tweets came in tonight. Look at what Maria Shriver tweeted about women's issues. Like that we have women front and center at the debate. Women's issues are family issues. So true. Eileen Smith taking a snarkier tweet. Romney's going to usher in a new world economy where women can work as secretaries. You're welcome. Matt Lewis, the conservative columnist, tweeting Obama's response to the woman question was the most passionate he's been all night. There was a mention of President Bush, and you might assume that would get some talk on Twitter. Kirsten Powers, the conservative columnist, tweeting President Obama remembering the good old days of George Bush. Newark, New Jersey Mayor Cory Booker tweeting, interesting, Obama pointing out that Bush didn't attack Planned Parenthood and Romney has. So again, we were hearing a lot of things tonight. I have a question for you, Larry. With all the debates that you've seen, do you find that the town hall format like tonight is better off for the candidates and the country as opposed to the traditional style?
I think the country enjoys it. I think they like seeing ordinary people asking questions. Interesting about Planned Parenthood, but I bring this up maybe because of just my experience and knowledge, but George Bush's grandfather founded Planned Parenthood.
Indeed.
Yes, Prescott Bush.
And the CEO of Planned Parenthood now, her mother was, of course, the governor of Texas, your good friend.
And, I love
Richard.
And Richard.
Former Governor Richards.
Born on third base and thought he hit a triple.
What a character.
Yeah. You would remember her fondly, would you not, Dan, from your state?
Well, look, Texas produces a lot of colorful politicians. Some succeed, Lyndon Johnson, for example, George W. Bush, and others. Some don't succeed, Governor Perry. Who knows, we may see him again in 2016. But partly because of Texas' size, they're always somebody from Texas is always fairly deeply involved in the race for president, whether for better or for worse.
You know, when we hear these things, Dan, and for the rest of the panel, people, let's say from another planet, would wonder and fairly ask, why don't we have a popular vote? I live in Los Angeles. I haven't seen one ad on a local station from either of the candidates. I'm sure there's no ads in Texas on a local station. Why, Dan, don't we have just winner take all?
Well, the Founding Fathers considered that question, and you read the papers from the invention of America. They made the argument that we need to go to an electoral college vote. This happened over many years, of course. They made the argument to go to electoral college vote because they feared that only the big states would prevail. States such as New York, California, Florida, and Texas have the largest populations, and the smaller states wouldn't get any attention. Nobody would campaign in them. And so we went to the apportioning each state with a certain number of electoral votes. I have to argue that while I agree, in my own personal opinion, I would favor a straight up and down national vote, count the votes, and whoever gets the most votes wins, that there is an argument to be made for the electoral college vote. The question is going forward, whether the advantage of saying we're going to electoral college vote because we don't want the candidates to ignore small states, and we want small states, the minority states, if you will, to have a voice in the selection of a president. Here we have an example in 2012 where, as I said before, the candidates are spending almost all of their time in Florida, Virginia, and Ohio because they know those are going to be the three decisive states. Most of the advertising money is going into those three states and a few other states that are seen as swing states. So the time may come, looking down in the future, I don't expect it in 2016, in the future, where the country may very well reconsider this idea of the Electoral College deciding presidential elections rather than the popular vote. I wouldn't be surprised, I don't expect to see that in my lifetime, but in my children's or possibly grandchildren's lifetime, a possibility.
So, Megan, that means, as Dan eloquently said, the smaller states have an advantage.
Yeah,
Ohio is more important than California.
Yeah, Ohio should be more important than California, as far as I'm concerned. California, you know, I have no problem with the Electoral College. I actually have a bigger problem with the day that we choose to vote. There's this great organization I'm a part of called Why Tuesday that's trying to change voting.
Why not the whole weekend?
That's what I mean, to have people that have work, you know, children that make.
Why do we vote on Tuesday?
It goes back to an old law having something to do with horse carriages from like the 1800s. It's ridiculously outdated. WhyTuesday.com, everyone check it out. I think that would be a good place to start with electoral.
I support that.
That's a really good idea. So it would be like the weekend before?
It would be like the weekend. You would
so
have
the
Friday
whole
and
weekend
Saturday.
to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think so many more people would vote. So many people would register. It would just be a better thing. If you had
What do you make
days
of
to do
early
it.
voting?
And it would help
I
with
like
women
early
and
voting.
minorities.
Yes,
to get out the
absolutely.
votes
Early
in.
voting is great. It's great.
David has another
Well,
student
let's
with
don't
us.
duck our history here, Larry.
What? Yeah.
That I think the Tuesday vote, one main reason, perhaps not the only reason, but one main reason the vote was put on Tuesday is because the powers that be at the time that was decided, Tuesday is a working day, and they wanted as few working people, wanted as few of the homeless and the hungry and the downside of the economic scale to be able to vote. Frankly, my own personal opinion, clearly, there's no excuse for not holding this on a weekend.
Yeah.
One argument, I think it's a weak argument against it, is that, well, you know, Sunday is a day of rest and it's a religious day for so many people. And so somebody says, well, put it on Saturday. Saturday's a religious day for some other people. But Australia, among other places, they have their vote, I think, on the weekend. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. But we have to face the fact that part of the original reason for putting the vote on Tuesday was to emphasize, to ensure as much as possible that the good people, that is, quote, educated people and people of means, would have a better sway, a bigger sway in the election outcome than those at the bottom end, say middle and below of the economic scale.
Some of the founding fathers wanted only property owners to vote. We have a young lady here,
That's
Sarah.
true.
Sarah Murray, UCLA freshman.
Hey, Larry, this is the first actually election that Sarah is going to vote in. She says that Obama won tonight, but you're still on the fence as to who you're going to vote for?
I sure am. I agree with Mitt Romney economically, but socially I definitely agree with Obama.
So you are torn.
I am torn.
What's your question for the panel or your statement?
Well, my comment is that it seems to me that Romney has been using the right strategy by knowing that Obama would be the focus of the debate and by focusing his attention on attacking Obama rather than putting his own policies up.
Well, that's the incumbent is always the focus, right?
It's like a couple years ago before his downfall. Every golf tournament was about Tiger Woods. It was either Tiger Woods ahead or Tiger Woods is behind. And when you have a presidential election with an incumbent, it's always about the incumbent.
Obama, either for him or against him, right?
Exactly.
If you been in office the last 4 years and then someone wants to run against you, naturally they're going to come after you. I think nights like tonight, you need to be about what you're about and stand up and be able to speak about why you need to have another 4 years.
Most polls show that Obama is more likable.
Yes.
Why is that? Did he appear more likable tonight? I'm confused by that. They both look likable to me.
In fact, after the last debate, Romney's likability went way up, and that was one of the big things that shifted the poll numbers.
Was there one more likable tonight, in your opinion, Mr. PR person?
I didn't like some of the governor's aggressiveness towards Candy and his interruptions, and I don't find that real likable in the same way we didn't find some of Joe Biden's actions likable last week in the VP election. So I thought the president was more likable tonight. But I don't think they made it about likability. We had talked before, and I didn't think it was going to be this aggressive, frankly. I was
This was
surprised.
much more about issues than personality tonight.
I
too.
agree.
I mean,
Did anything, Margaret, not come up tonight you expected to come up?
I actually didn't think they were going to talk about Libya at all. So I thought they were going to save that for the next
Because its
one.
foreign policy is Monday. Next Monday.
So I thought that was going to come up. I was surprised that came up. I think that it's really, I mean, in terms of just the way that they were talking, though, the amount of aggression that came up between them and the fact that they could get right in each other's faces about it, it was pretty intense. I mean, I thought they were going to arm wrestle or something.
I don't think they like each other.
but I always imagine a woman standing there, and would this have this weird body language and this weird aggressiveness if there were two women there? Probably not, which is why more women need to run for president and run for office.
I think it's interesting to the course of all the debates, virtually no words about gay rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, almost no words about that
The gay issue has not come up at all.
That is interesting.
You're a gay American, right? Does that offend you, or does it show you we've come a long way?
Well, I think there's both. I wish they had called out their differences as a gay American, because there are stark differences. If Romney has supported the Republican platform, which is for a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage. I married my partner in California, and we're one of those 18,000 couples. I don't want to not be legally married because somebody's elected president. And Ben Stein talked about this last time. So I wish it would come up.
I'm told in the 3 debates so far that the Democrats have had 9 minutes more time than the Republicans. And I think Obama had, 4 minutes, I think, more time tonight. It's tough when you're moderating to pin it right. As you know, Dan, it's tough to balance time, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that all of the moderators, all three, that includes the vice president's debate, have done a pretty good job of managing the time. It's almost impossible to bring the time dead level equal. I want to go back to something that was asked earlier. Larry, I think you asked the question, was there anything in the debate that surprised you by not coming up, not being mentioned, or something you were disappointed in? I can't say I was surprised, but I was disappointed that almost everything in this debate was centered on either the wealthy, the top 1%, or on the middle economic class. What we didn't hear is any discussion of what to do, how to help the homeless, the hungry, the heartbroken, the helpless, and those Americans who believe that they have no hope. Almost no discussion in either one of the presidential debates so far, and not in the vice president's debate. And I think that's an oversight. I don't expect it to be addressed next week, which is supposed to be about foreign policy. But I'm disappointed there was no discussion of that tonight.
Do you think it's because either they're forgotten, or that people don't think they're going to vote, or that they don't count? Dan?
I think forgotten is a fair description. I think they are forgotten. On the record, you'd have to say that both candidates seem to have forgotten, not that they don't exist, but that they need to be addressed. There may be some of the feeling of, look, there are not many votes in that, and that you run a risk by being cast as some far left liberal by discussing that. But frankly, and this is only my own opinion clearly, I think Governor Romney could have helped himself in one of the two presidential debates by signaling that he is aware that the people at the very bottom of the economic scale, those who are really desperate, are on his mind. But having said that, he writes off 47% of the vote as basically freeloaders, it'd be pretty hard for him to make that pivot, I acknowledge.
David, back at the social media desk, what's the latest?
Larry, you know what got the biggest jokes on Twitter tonight? The president talking about gangbangers and Mitt Romney mentioning his binders of women. Love this one from Maroon, who tweets, "No man should ever use the phrase binders full of women unless they're searching for a mail order bride." And then Matt tweets, "Gangbangers bound women? This debate is going XXX." Meghan, I got a question for you.
Sure.
You mentioned more women getting involved.
Yeah.
Would you get involved and run for office?
What kind of question's that?
You have
Good one.
You have a name. You have a name that could run.
I don't know. I'm unmarried, which is statistically hurts a lot of women for getting married. I'm from Arizona, and I would run in Arizona, and I'm a moderate pro-gay marriage Republican, and I wouldn't run unless I could win. And this is only something I've thought about really recently because I speak at a lot of colleges, and college women get mad at me when I say, all of you go out and get involved, and they're like, you get involved, ladies. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of women, young like you, talk about you got to get more involved, but then they're like, well, I don't want to run.
I have a problem with children of politicians assuming that they'd automatically be good at it just because their parents are good at it.
Yeah, look at George
So,
Bush.
It also doesn't come up, Iman.
So I don't
It was
know.
argued in the Supreme Court this week, but in none of these debates does affirmative action ever come up. Do you think we should end it or keep it? That never comes up.
That's a really good question. I think with affirmative action, it's something that's highly debatable. I
Right,
myself,
that's why I would think of it in a debate.
I think that, there is a purpose to affirmative action. Now, at this point in our system, in our economy, I think it could probably be retweaked at this point because I think that what it represented in the beginning is not really living up to what it was initially created for. I think a lot has changed in this economy, a lot has changed in society, and I don't know really if we could keep it or get rid of it.
But it's like almost saying affirmative action is really like trying to end it is saying, are we beyond racism? There was this
Right.
idea after Obama that once we elected this biracial president, we're suddenly not. We're like sort of extinction
Exactly.
of racism.
And that's a point I definitely agree with. And when I hear that, it bothers me that people say we have a black president, racism's gone, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
It's not at all. And so on that note, yeah, there's a
says
purpose
that,
to
though? I mean-
people say
People
that.
say
Coulter.
it. People say it.
Well,
Yeah, cool, yeah. All right, we have one more student to hear from, Michael Esfahani. Am I pronouncing it right? That's right.
He's planning to vote for President Obama this
And he's
election.
a
Larry.
senior
What's-
in political science at UCLA.
Indeed, what's your comment?
Michael?
My question is regarding Romney's foreign policy plan for the Middle East or lack thereof it. I'm just wondering, do you think that would hurt him broadly in the election, as well as particularly in the next debate where that issue will be more profound?
Is that his weak point, do you think, foreign policy?
no, I don't think it's his weak point at all, especially with everything that just happened in Libya at all. I disagree with you.
Do you think he's going to take a hawkish position, like they're going to pin him down on Iran?
Well, he's already been hawkish, but I can tell you, I'm not just gay, I'm Jewish, and I get a lot of email chains, and it's like, here's why Jews should not be supporting Obama, and there's a lot of social media action supporting Romney from the Jewish community, but an equal amount supporting Obama from the Jewish community.
Dan, do you buy the notion that Americans' foreign policy is not high on their list?
I do buy the idea in general, and historically that has been the case in presidential elections. There have been exceptions during World War II, for example. During an ongoing large-scale war, sometimes it comes to the forefront, but generally speaking, foreign policy doesn't move very many votes. In this particular case right now, I do think that next Monday night's debate, which is supposed to be all on foreign policy, there will be sharp differences drawn. There will be sharp contrast between President Obama's position and the position of Governor Romney. Obama is going to take the view and remind people that in one way or the other, this will be President Obama's theme, stop and think, people. Governor Romney is talking about Russia being our #1 competitor, if not enemy. He's constantly attacking China, quote unquote. He wants to intervene in Syria. He wants to intervene in Libya. He's talking, in effect, about a new war with Iran. And we can't take on the whole world. I expect President Obama to make that theme at one point. And Governor Romney's theme, in contrast to that, there will be a sharp contrast, is, listen, we are at this moment the United States of America, the world's only full-service superpower, which is to say we're both in military and economic superpower, and we have to take the lead. Yes, in confronting the Russians, confronting the Chinese, confronting some elements in Libya, trying to do something about Syria, and just talking even tougher, even right up to the brink, if not over the brink, of war with Iran. We'll see how that plays out. And if they are joined in that kind of conversation, and the differences are as stark as I have just laid out, then foreign policy could come into the race. But overall, in the main, I think, as I said before, this is a great deal about the economy and jobs, which is one reason Governor Romney talks about it so much, and I thought he talked about it fairly persuasively, certainly effectively tonight. That's not to say that President Obama didn't play very strong defense, but he is on the defensive about that. And going back to something earlier, if I may, Larry, that was some conversation about these presidential elections are always about the incumbent. The Obama people did, the president and those working his campaign did something smart. As soon as the primary season ended, they made a pivot over the summer in which it was very hard to take some of the heat off of President Obama and raise questions about Mitt Romney. And if Romney loses this election, one of the key places would be in early summer and through the summer, where the Obama people began to paint in a negative picture of Romney, and the Romney campaign did not react fast enough or well enough to offset that. And therefore, as we went into September, up to the time of the first debate, they had deflected this from being an election about Barack Obama and made it an election, do you want Mitt Romney? Now, Romney, to his credit, reversed a lot of that in the first debate. As we know, he got an overall poll bounce of somewhere between 4 to 6 points, which put him back into contention.
All right, we're in our final moments. I'll get a final comment from everybody. I want to remind you, stay with us because David Begnaud is going to host a special edition of Newsbreaker, right, with guests. All right, Meghan, the next week's important. A lot of money's going to be spent. 3 weeks to go to the election. Close?
It's very close. Very, very, very close. I think this might be one of those 2000 elections where we all stay up all night.
Margaret?
I think it's close. I think especially about the economy. You know, we're just a year after the whole Occupy movement, and so everybody's really, really kind of against that 1%, which is what Mitt Romney does represent.
Howard?
Debates are, you know, and they're going to get us much smaller audience next Monday, the third debate, foreign policy. I went to University of Michigan. Bo Schembechler taught me it's going to be one on the ground.
Yeah.
Iman?
I think it's definitely close, but tonight I think Mitt definitely suffered from what the internet knows as hashtag that uppercut. So the playing field is a little bit more level tonight, and I think Democrats will have a lot more confidence, and next week will be very interesting.
And David, Dan, I hope to see you when I'm in New York. We're looking forward to see you then. What's your view of the next 3 weeks?
Look forward to it, Larry. Thank you very much.
What's your view of the next 3 weeks?
This race has been hotter than a burning stump, and tonight's debate just poured kerosene on it. Very volatile race, extremely tight race. As of this moment, check with me in the morning, very slight advantage Obama.
I'll see Dan in New York. And David, your final comment.
The fact checkers are already working, Larry. It'll be interesting to see what the results are tomorrow morning when they start fact checking what was said tonight.
We thank all of our panel. See you next Monday night on YouTube following the debate. See you on Larry King Now every day on Aura TV via Hulu. Stay tuned now for more with David Begnaud as he does more hosting on the following of the second presidential debate. I'm Larry King for all of our panel. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for David.
And welcome back. I'm David Begnaud. Larry King has gone home for the night, but I kept his microphone. Joining me now here on YouTube, Howard Bragman, the reputation extraordinaire. That's better. I like reputation extraordinaire.
Well, reputation has changed. I used to be a PR guy, and now I work with Reputation.com because however your reputation is created, it lives online.
That's true. And Iman Crossan, or Crossan. So I would call you, what is it, a YouTube star, a comedian? What do you prefer?
I'm an actor and also an Obama impressionist.
That's good. Let me ask you this, and Iman, I want to get your opinion. Do you think Twitter has changed your ability to manage people's reputations?
Oh, absolutely. There used to be barriers to entry.
Yeah.
And not just Twitter, but Facebook, all social media,
right.
Bloggers have changed. You know, it used to be I could be a tough publicist and have a lot of clients, and somebody's going to say something bad about my client, and I go, you do, you're never getting another client. Now they don't care.
Right.
Now they don't care because it's going to appear on Twitter. I had a situation this week where a client had a very volatile situation. Some pictures were released on Facebook, and that's what I had to deal with.
Well, and couldn't you normally manage something if it was on a Friday on the Monday?
In the old days, we used to call it, when I started out in this business, we used to call it crisis control. Now we call it crisis management. As I say, the volcano is shooting hot lava, and my job is to sort of make it go harmlessly out to sea instead of destroying the village.
Iman, you had to perform at comedy clubs in the past. Now you can start a Twitter account, and if you're really good, build a following where a comedy club calls you.
Yes, this is very true. But, are you speaking of parody accounts? There's a lot of that going on, too, which is really hilarious.
Could be, but don't you get some legit comics, though?
Yeah, you have legit comics that come on. I think a lot of comics, though, that are on Twitter who do well are, honestly, they're established first. There's a lot of comedians out there, and the comedy genre, the comedy market is very flooded, and it's very hard to get through.
Yeah.
Now, with social media, you can find a way to get out there and, be retweeted, have your tweets favorited. So there's a lot that can be capitalized on with Twitter.
Mr. President, how do you deal with Twitter?
Personally, I don't tweet too much. I have my advisors, my aides, do a lot of tweeting for me, unless it's about the game.
Why do you pause so much, Mr. President?
Well, I have to make sure that I choose my words very carefully.
How do you think you did tonight?
I was great.
Joining us also, there she is, Trisha Payton. Wow, you got all dressed up for us.
No, I have a date tonight.
Oh, you have a date tonight. Well, thanks. How much time do you have?
I have like 15 minutes.
Okay, all right, here we go. Trisha, as you may well know, is the YouTube star.
How long's the date going to go, I want to know.
How long's the date going to be?
I don't know.
Oh, is it with a girl or a boy?
It's with a boy tonight.
Is it at a...
Tonight.
Is it sometimes with a girl?
I'm open.
Wow, I didn't think I would get that answer.
You know what? I want to show some cleavage. I'm just feeling the urge to unbutton things here.
It is YouTube. So, Trisha, you're the YouTube star who endorsed... Wow, is she bringing her legs up? You're the YouTube star who endorsed Mitt Romney, and I looked at your views tonight. You've got something like 1.7 million views since that video aired. Did you watch the debate tonight?
I watched most of it.
And your thoughts?
I mean, I don't have much thoughts on it except for I love Mitt Romney. He's gorgeous, and I love that he, is a, good guy.
Now, last time you told us Mitt was gorgeous, and so was Paul Ryan. So you think they're both hunks?
They're both hunks, and they're both full of energy, and they're both really smart. They remind me of my dad. Like, Mitt Romney and my dad are, identical. I love them.
Did you think the president gained any ground tonight? Don't you think he did better than the last debate?
I didn't watch the first debate, but tonight he looked very tired, and he sounded kind of very childish.
You know what I love about this, Howard, is that, and you can see this, we have someone like Trisha, who is a former stripper, now devout Catholic, who makes money and gets millions of views out of her bedroom. Are you now
God bless America. This is great.
But wait a minute. Are you now dealing with clients who are YouTube stars? Are stars now coming to you as clients who aren't just on the big screen?
Personally, not so much. The truth is, nobody ever says, oh, I want to be a star on YouTube. We all want to be TV stars.
Yeah.
And stars on the more traditional media, but YouTube is a great way to extend it. And some people have gone to YouTube and crossed over, and I think that's what our young starlet here is hoping to do.
I was about to say, YouTube has done very well for you.
Yeah, YouTube has done great for a lot of people. I have some of my colleagues who also are YouTubers who make 6 figures a month.
Right.
And they're in their early 20s.
Right.
Just posting videos. So there's a lot that can be said for that. A person like myself, I hope to push for the same, but I also have a hunger and thirst for the big silver screen and to do traditional media as well. So I have my hands in both pots.
So the Obama rap did great. What is your favorite routine that you do?
In terms of which video I've put out, or?
No, of Obama.
Well, I don't really do routines. I do videos. So.
What's your favorite video?
My favorite video would have to be the rap about the death of Osama bin Laden, where I show myself walking down the East Wing and giving a speech and everything. So that was a lot of fun.
Can you give Howard and I a little rap?
Sure. This is an excerpt from that very video.
Okay.
Team 6 rolled up in choppers. It was so cash. Lit his house with red dots like it had a rash. and then it goes on and on. So I don't want to go too far into that. But
Trisha, have you heard of Iman?
Yes, I watched him on Puppet Cop. He plays a puppet.
You play a puppet. This is news to me.
yeah, I play a puppet on a show called Puppet Cop.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I try to be.
Wait, David, I just want to say, I think as we keep going, I know why she's so popular.
Tell me.
That right leg is going to end up behind her ear before we're done.
Yeah, what is the...
See?
Wow.
Boy.
Wow. Okay, so do you...
Does she have a brother? Wait.
Who's doing this interview here, Bragman? So, Trisha, question, do you plan to do any more videos politically related before the election?
Is she wearing magic
Yeah,
underwear?
I've done a couple, you know, and tonight I'm going to do my first one that's not about religion, because the main reason I'm voting for Romney is because of my religion, but tonight I'm going to touch on other issues like the women's rights issues and all that stuff tonight. So I'm going to actually film one before I leave tonight.
Howard is distracting me here, asking if you're wearing magic underwear like Mitt Romney.
What? No.
Exactly. I would not normally ask that
Is she
question.
wearing underwear?
Wow, this is
getting out of control.
This is getting out of control. As Larry would do, in honor of Larry, final thoughts.
You know, I think that Twitter, social media, it's going to be really important tomorrow where people parse and they fact check, they rally their troops, and I think that's part of the ground game. I think it's hugely important, and I'm sure Governor Romney is thrilled to have a loyal, beautiful supporter like Trish.
Hey, she gets millions of views on YouTube.
Trust me.
Iman.
I think that social media has definitely changed the climate of politics, how we talk about politics. You know, when you look at it, it also adds another element of humor. You know, the moments when what wasn't mentioned tonight was, Romney calling Obama Mr. Oil, Mr. Coal, Mr. Gas. Right. And so everyone was like, hey, what's this whole Mr. Gas thing? And then Mr. Gas is trending, and we have some humor behind it. So I think it adds a whole nother element to politics and all this stuff that we can, appreciate.
You know what bugs the hell out of me is when people dismiss social media as something that just goes on sort of on the sidelines. Every candidate, the president and Mr. Romney have Twitter accounts, they have YouTube pages, and they use them, and they use them a lot.
Yes. And
it is not to be dismissed.
My 88-year-old father's on Facebook, okay? It is that pervasive.
It just annoys me when the esteemed among us seem to just kind of kick it to the side.
No, in no way you should. And by the way, it's virtually free.
Indeed, indeed. Trish,
you're buying Twitter followers.
Any final thoughts?
I just want to say that on the same social networking little route number we're talking about, that it really does make like an impact. Like I know people said to me like they would never vote, they weren't going to register to vote, but because of my videos they are. And it doesn't matter why people vote for the candidate they vote for. You can vote for Mitt Romney because he's hot. You can vote for Mitt Romney because he's pro all this stuff. But it doesn't matter. Social media is awesome. Twitter is awesome. If it wasn't for Twitter, I wouldn't even be involved in politics because I never was before. But Twitter got me excited on the first debate that I missed out on. So now I'm really excited about politics because of Twitter.
Hey, Trish, are you going to talk politics tonight at the debate?
What?
Are you going to talk politics tonight at the debate?
The date?
I mean your dinner date.
No, he's very liberal, so probably not.
Uh-oh, that could spell trouble. Trish, thanks for taking time. Good luck on the date.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, any final words before we say goodnight?
I think it's important that people, even if you like me, you have to get out and you have to register to vote. And now some deadlines have passed in certain states, but here in California, you have a little time. So you can go to places like headcount.org, register to vote online, and it takes just seconds.
That's very good. You're sweating.
Yeah, it's hot under these lights. In the suit, my God.
Hey, you want to be a star? It's hot. Mr. Bragman, thank you for coming
David.
tonight. Iman,
pleasure
for being a part of it. Trish, thanks to you, and thanks to you guys again. Larry and his panel will be back next week for the next presidential debate. I'm David Begnaud, the host of Newsbreaker. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We'd appreciate the follow. Have a good night.